action. Welcome to podcast 53. Did I get it right? I don't know. I did?
Yep.
All right. Starting this out, I want to say one of our sponsors. I bought these binoculars with my own money, but Vortex, their warranty, I broke a pair of Diamondbacks. I've had them for years, and I sent them in, and their warranty is second to none. It's absolutely beautiful. They sent me a brand new pair because they were unfixable because the eyepiece actually broke, and it was my fault that they broke. But brand new pair for deer season. These are the Diamondback 10x50 HDs, and I absolutely love them. I beat the crap out of them. They've fallen from the tree stand, and here's a brand new pair. So Vortex, shout out to you guys. Love your stuff. And let's start talking about hunting.
Yeah. I got my broadheads today.
It's good.
Ready to roll. Get them all screwed into my arrows and perfect. That's what you're not even going to shoot that many deer.
I got enough tags. I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Speaking of tags, my doe tag showed up. The one I ordered on the 15th of August. It showed up in the mail yesterday.
Nice. I think I went and got my statewide archery tag, my landowner tenant tag, any sex, and I got doe, landowners, and then I'm not sure if I bought a doe for my county or Polk. I can't remember, but I'm gonna try to whack and stack a few does now that they got that new online portal system that we discussed last podcast with Aaron. So
yeah, I haven't really, like I said, that's the only one I bought just because it's a county that only has a few hundred. So I bought it the morning they went on sale and took a couple weeks but got them. So otherwise I'll go into Hy-Vee or Sportsman's or something and buy all my tags and the kids' tags here pretty soon. So
yep. I got Jace's tag. We went out and shot his gun, and he is way better than he was last year. Shooting it all by himself, and that 350 Legend with the Vortex scope, it's beautiful. It's 70 yards. He's gonna have a pretty much a chip shot. So that's coming up. It's the third right now. We got 17,
20 days.
Yeah,
like 2.5 weeks away.
So youth season will be here before we know it. Dove season started. I've heard some banging down where you and I have dove hunted before, and you did go out today. Did you scratch any out?
Nope. I hit some public north of my place, and they were both loaded opening day, and I sat a total of almost 3 hours and saw 3 doves, and nothing within 100 yards. So I mean, those and they're huge sunflower fields, all shot out. Doves are gone after 3 days.
Yeah, that happens. That's happened every year on public I can think of. There's been a few fields that people don't find that you can get a couple hunts out of, but if they're popular and they're easy to access and you can drive by the road and see them, that happens every year.
Yep.
But
and I didn't realize it was going to be this fast. But yeah, I got a couple phone calls into some farmers north of town here that I know that I trap on and stuff, and they got some like hay fields that are all baled and stuff like that, and right next to other corn fields and stuff. So there'll be some birds around. I'm just waiting to get phone calls back to try and get permission.
Yeah. Dove plots are fun. They do get shot out fast. And if you guys can find a new seeding, driving around, hey, that's a first year CRP, kind of like your farm down south. Doves absolutely love it right after it's freshly mowed, 6 to 8 inches. And there was guys on a new seeding down below that shot 15, 20 times. I'm sure there's more doves out there, but it comes and goes. We used to be, you still are more diehard than I am. I used to go all the time when I had Daisy. And when she passed, it's been like, now my drive for wanting to go out has been less and less every year. And I'm more focused on whitetails. So
Yeah, it gets to this point where we're almost in that limbo. If you don't have all your stuff done, you need to get it done. But if you do have most of your stuff done, you're kind of just sitting there waiting to really get going on season. And I have stuff to do. I need to trim some stands and all that, but I've been busy with everything else, life and whatnot. So I'll probably just take a day and head down south early and just pound out, get in, 10 stands on my uncle's farm and make sure they're all trimmed out and good and all the straps are good, replace them if I need to. My farm, I already did that. I got one stand I need to trim on mine, but besides that, it's just maybe getting some more cameras out. A lot of hardhorn deer showing up this week. Seems I have it where it used to be, one every week. Now I'd say 50% of the bucks I'm getting are hardhorn.
yeah, and a lot of people's lists are different, but also yet the same. A lot of people have their stands hung by now. The guys on public, they can't legally put them out yet till that
Right.
7th. And I know last weekend a lot of guys were out doing things with a nice and cool weekend, Labor Day weekend. I got a lot of stuff done on my family farm. My father and I put together the 5-foot tower, and then we put the blind on top, which it took entirely way longer than it should. It's up. It's on a 6-acre alfalfa field, or a 2-acre, and there's 3 2-acre alfalfa fields, and I got turnips down below each plot. So that's a dynamite setup. I got more cameras out there. I threw another revolver up, and I had a few cameras on it, and I put more, and the deer were kind of randomly coming out places. I didn't think there was a huge population there, but with the new cameras, I'm seeing a lot more deer show up on that green alfalfa. So that's good to know. And my plots look, I'd say, as good or maybe better than they've ever looked there. So that's rewarding to know.
Yeah, you guys have gotten a lot of good rain, pretty consistent over there, so that is the biggest factor. Getting it in the ground, the prep work, all that stuff you can control, but
Yeah,
you
but
can't
not
control
really.
that rain.
It's honestly, we had some good late rains, but I was planting early, and I kept planting and hitting those little rains, and it kind of was random. And then we got the good amount to kind of push everything through. So my plots are, I'd say, probably the best that I've seen on social media, but they also might be too good that those bulbs are going to get way entirely too big because I planted them early. So I'm going to have leafy greens for early season. Late season, they might not hit those giant bulbs. At least they seem not to dig them up, but the one plot looks absolutely killer. And if it's late season and they're all mushy, I guess that's on me. So we'll see.
Yeah, I have the opposite. I have a couple spots where the Nebraskas are good, and then the other spots where they're not. I mean, I'm not planting for the fifth. I'm not planting Nebraskas for the 5th time this year. If I do anything, I'll do winter rye. But
And one thing, you didn't catch any of those rains. Like,
no,
I got a
no.
bunch of random half an inch to inch rains, and you kept missing and missing. And
Yeah, I think at one point I went over 7 weeks without a single drop of rain on the farms. So that pretty much destroyed the corn. We had corn planted where I shot my late muzzleloader deer last year, and it was looking okay. It was probably knee high, and between it just whittling away and the deer pressure on it, I went back there like 4 weeks later with no rain, and it was barren. Like there wasn't a stalk left. And then I put in brassicas. Went 4 more weeks with not a drop of rain, and we've since seeded it again. And now, since we got like 6 inches of rain over the last 2 weeks, the grass is like the residual foxtail is like a foot tall. Like it looks like a grass CRP field now. So we're either gonna have to get in there and disc it all up, and I don't know if there's time to kill spray it and till it and all that stuff. So
I would
we
just
may
mow.
just be SO.
spray it, throw rye down. That's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Rise. So
Yeah. Yep.
that would be my recommendation.
Yeah. We need to get out there and mow it all because there's a lot of leftover stuff that didn't get mowed. And I think if we mow it with that thatch and we can put, I'll throw brassicas out just because they're pretty inexpensive there, but I'll mainly do winter rye and
Yeah. And if it's only
whatever.
a foot tall, is it 4 foot or is it a foot?
Well, there's one section of it's like 3 feet tall. The other section's like it's all 12 to 18 inches, just solid foxtail.
Yeah, you could nuke it and interseed in between it and just let that be a mulch or a thatch. And that way, because when you mow it, then you try to spray it, you got dead stuff,
Yeah.
live stuff, and that does not work out great. But if you go in there, spray it.
I mean, how long, like if you wanted to spray with Roundup or 2,4-D and just nuke everything, how long do you have to wait to mow it?
I think I wouldn't even mow. I just interseed between it. I would wait. I think it says in the label, I want to say 7 days.
To mow?
Before anything. I've planted stuff right after I've sprayed and it's fine, but I think that's one of their recommendations. So you always want to go by label rate, and by the label. So I would, if I were you and your uncle has a mower and you can, is it a flail mower? Is it a rotary mower? What
It's
kind of
just a pull behind mower on the
Like a-
tractor.
brush mower?
Yeah, like a brush hog.
If I'm you, I'm going to go nuke it, spray it, and interseed rye, and just let that dead stuff be standing dead, and see if you can get some green browse in there. Because that variety of cold snap winter rye that we use, and we've talked about this before, it doesn't totally senesce till it's negative 46 degrees. And how often in Iowa does it get negative 46? So that's actively
Right.
alive almost all the year. The only thing you got to watch out for that, we've had this problem, is in the spring, if you let it go, it's 6 foot, 7 foot high, and then it's a pain in the ass to mow. So
Yep. It's not fun at that point. You got to take care of it like before turkey season almost. Go in there and
Yeah.
mow it all down, and
so yeah,
then
we talked
it'll
about
green up a little bit.
food plots a lot. Let's talk about blind placement. Why and where you put your blind versus my blinds. You have 3 blinds, right? Two hawks, and I have the same. And my setups vary from yours. So why don't you go over your 3 first, and we'll go over mine.
So the one hawk I have is at my uncle's. It's just on a 5-foot tower. It overlooks a clover, and then he's got brassicas out there. It's a food plot. It's probably underutilized. There's a lot of does there. You get some bucks there during the rut when they'll buzz through and start checking does because there's a ton of does right there. So that one's more set up for. I've never even personally hunted out of it. I've had it for 3 years and I've never once hunted out of it. It's more for my uncle when he brings his grandkids in. You can park 70 yards away, walk down the lane and jump in. And for late season, you can, as long as it's not a straight north wind, you can hunt it. So a northwest wind is perfect.
7 point, right?
Yeah, same plot. I shot that big 7-pointer with my bow, but it was out of a tree stand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a good spot. There's always good deer that get through there. It's just it used to be a really good spot, and when I didn't have anywhere else to hunt, I took care of. I mowed that plot all the time. The clover looked great. We put way more time and effort into it, and since then, it's just we haven't really done anything this year to it. So the brassicas were looking really, really good till we got that hot snap. I haven't been down there to look since we got the rain last week. Hopefully it was enough not to kill it, and it's growing pretty good. It's kind of hard to tell on my camera. I got one camera on it, and it's probably 50 yards away, and there's a little bit of tall grass in between, so you can't really tell what it looks like yet.
With that being said, almost a saving grace is having a weedy brassica plot. I've noticed over the hot spell, all the spots where I had clover brassicas coming up, the brassicas are pretty much kind of dying off. But those spots where there's grass and there is weeds, the Braskas are doing the best because they're kind of, blocked by full sunlight and they're hanging on pretty good. So hopefully that's the case in that plot where they're growing up through the weeds.
Yeah. That one's a little bit farther behind as far as growth, but then where my hawk blind is on my farm, it's overlooking a corn plot, which have been the trials and tribulations of my entire existence this year. We planted it in June the first time, got zero germination on it. None at all. I know. Oh, wow. And got zero germination on it. So we couldn't get it planted in till like the 25th of June is when we got it planted it for the second time. And once again, no rain, like hardly any rain the whole time. Grew up to like knee high, stalled, got a little bit of rain, jumped up to waist high, and then it's only maybe shoulder high, maybe 5 feet tall. But I would say 90% of the corn stalks have ears on them with viable corn. So
That's good.
I have an acre corn plot. Yeah, it's awesome. But then with the Braskas down at the bottom, there's kind of a low-lying spot where there was tall grass and it just collects moisture. I had overseeded Braskas when I didn't think the corn was going to grow. So I put Braskas all over the entire field, and right there, those Braskas, I mean, the leaves on them are, as big as my hand, if not bigger. Bulbs look good, but it's super grassy. Like, I mean, it's like a waterway. So that's when I asked the group, do you go in there and nuke it with kill the grasses off right now to try to, stop the competition? And I'm going to try to get down there this week. And there's some spots that's so grassy in and around the corner where the Braskas are at. If anything, it's just going to help with more mulch. So
there's a point where you get so close to deer season, it's like, all right, am I doing more harm than good going in there and spraying? And even though it's just clethodim just for grasses, you can still hurt those broadleafs a little bit and set them back. And I don't know if you really want to do that right now. We won't kill them.
I think they're as far as, yeah, and right there, I mean, they're fully mature Braskas. I mean, they have been planted for a month and a half. Because it was just where the moisture was, so they're all set there. But you can tell there's like 3 different stages of Braskas in that field, like the different times I planted them compared to get different moisture and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, that's where that other hawk is. It's set up perfect. It's on the southeast corner of the food plot, which it's designed for late season. It's designed to hunt on a northwest wind, and with the green screen right in front of it, and how everything lays with the hill, I can walk right to it. And if there's deer in the plot, they'll never see me get in the blind.
And you put that blind in that position. Why? Because you had a food plot there. That's your best spot on the farm, right? Like historically, you've killed there.
Yeah, I killed a couple does there. I passed a couple bucks there last year, but it was the blind. We picked the spot where I wanted it and then put the blind there before we ever put food. This is, where I want to be. This is where the deer come through. Let's give them a reason to stay here. And like I said, the biggest thing was getting that wall up with the sorghum and not letting the deer see you access it or leave it. And by the time season rolls around, it'll all be 8+ feet tall.
And this is your second hawk blind.
Yep. This is the one on my farm.
Yep, where you had an old box blind where we shot tiny out of. So the same spot.
No.
That shows you how long it's been since I've been there.
Yeah, no, there's where I shot tiny out of, there's a soft side 360. Okay. You and Morgan helped me put it up like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that plot in front of there where I killed tiny is the one where all the foxtail is.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just garbage.
It's been that long ago since I've been there, since you put that second blind up, which you put up last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there's only one blind on my uncle's, one box blind.
Oh, okay.
And the second hawk is on my farm with the corn. And then my last blind is that new muddy we just got. That's on the east side of my farm in the field. And that sits kind of on the southwest corner of my beans and clover.
Okay, so you got
So that
muddy box blind, 2 hawks, and 2 360 soft sides, or one?
just one soft side. I had two, and then it got kind of blown over one year and all bent to crap. And I still have the platform, but there's nothing on it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that new muddy I put on it. It's the first one I've had on a 10-foot tower, and we had to go to like Plan C on where we wanted to put it, because where I initially wanted it was on the downside of this hill of the food plot, and I had all the sorghum planted in front of it so I can get into it and not have any issues. But you can't see over the hill of the food plot, and if you know, what's the point of being in a blind if you can't see the entire field? Like, you could only see like half of it, so you could sit an entire night and not know there's deer over there
So did
and
you,
be missing out.
because you went up higher as far as like
Yeah,
getting,
so Trent Carpenter on the team actually went down there with me, and we built the tower, and we moved it probably 20 yards up the hill to the northwest, right on the corner of my hot fence where the beans are, and I leveled it all out this weekend. And it's just high enough where you can see where the deer come out of the timber and feed into the plot.
yeah, and that's kind of, you have to have more of a permanent setup on your blinds. Some of these other farms where there's a lot more flatter topography, you can have skids, or you can build skids, and that's what we did to my first one, so we can drag it around because it's
Right.
more flatter in that area. But the second one I did, I had to do what you did. I had to level it off, and it was kind of a pain, but it's going to stay there because it's in one of the best spots. So now you have, back to you, you have on each side of the hill, you got blinds set up for.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Yep, the muddy's not on the tower yet. I'll get that up hopefully this week and get the chairs in it, the blind, the window kit, just get everything prepped and ready to go. Yeah, like my other one, I took a GoPro mount in there. I have a mount for my Ozonics I leave in there. I have a mount for a secondary camera in there. And that's what I've been doing. Like, even my tree stands the last few years, I take everything in and leave it, like my bases for my camera arms and my bow hangers and my pull-up ropes. Like, when I set up a spot, I put all that in, and then I never have to move it. Second angle for, you know, a GoPro, screw in those little HME camera mounts.
Yeah,
Every single tree stand, when I go there, I leave it in the tree.
yeah.
So I have this.
It's
Yep.
good to go.
And I have this same thing set up in the box blinds, where I have the, you know, a bow hanger up there. I have like a squeegee and Rain-X, all that stuff in a little container, little Rubbermaid that I leave in the blind for when it gets cold out. I'm not going to do it yet, but I'll put its own heater, you know, a little buddy heater into each blind and just leave it.
Yeah, and now that you've talked about that, so I do the same thing. We leave the chairs in there. In the hawk blinds, I got the hawk chairs, which are very comfortable. The seats are huge. So 2 giant seats, plenty of room. And then we have, in each blind, we have heaters that we drilled through the blind, and we have a big propane tank down below that the hose connects to. So that pretty
Okay.
much through a year. So we just drilled through the plywood in the muddy blind this past weekend, and Jeff like camouflaged the can, which he didn't need to, but he was excited. So
Right.
so it very similar to you. I don't have any bow hangers. I just have on my bow, I have that little whatever you call it, the stand for the Matthews.
Right. Yep.
I just, and it is nice to have all that stuff. I got to get window kits for mine, but kind of back to what we were initially talking about, blind setup. You got your 3. Mine are, I got 2 at one farm and then 1 at my own. The first one we put on skids, and we had up on top of a hill, and a tornado came through, flattened it. We put it back together, still on the skid. We just anchored it down a little bit more. The blind, only when the tornado came through, broke like 2 windows. We got the glass replaced. It looks basically brand new, and it's set up on in the middle, kind of towards the bottom, I guess, of a alfalfa field where there's about an acre of turnips, and then it meets a finger to the timber. So all the deer kind of funnel through, and you got a 50-yard gap between the timber and the food plot. So that's a good setup. My father-in-law has killed a couple of really nice deer out of that blind. And then one up on the fence gap where they go to destination food. We just put a muddy up there last weekend, and that's probably the best spot on the entire farm. So in the past, we've had a ladder stand up there, and the tree fell, and then Jeff just kind of sat then I guess after the ladder stand, we put a hay bale blind, muddy hay bale blind. And then that got broke by the tree falling. And then we put this blind. So there's no trees to fall on this blind, which is nice, but it's only on a 5-foot platform opposed to the 10 because we're already on top of the hill and you can see all 3 fields. It's a really cool setup, which I'm sure next time we get together over there, you'll check it out. But we had to level it, take the backhoe in, scoop out a kind of a level area. And then we got some blocks from Menards. It's like round concrete blocks. They're like $2 a piece. Drilled holes through the stakes would go and put those on the front. So it's perfectly level. The way I did mine at my own property, Aaron and I just kind of eyeballed it, got the level on the phone. You know, you can download the app. I'm like, okay, this looks good. That was good enough. But my father-in-law, he wanted to get it perfectly level. So it is perfectly level. We had the level up there and did all that. And we got side anchors because it is on top of the hill. We got some big augers and we put giant ratchet straps. So any wind from any area is gonna, those side anchors should work. They're like 3 foot in the ground. So no tornado. We had one go through there once, and that was it for that blind. The one on my farm is set up on the south side, easy access. You can almost see it from the road, but I got a green screen up so the deer can't see the car. And I'm back.
Okay.
That's a clover field, and I shot my deer there last year. That Jesse edited the video, and it's on our page. And that was turnips last year. This year it's clover. I threw some turnips around where we put that little earth pond, and that's been full pretty much all year. I've filled it up one time, and that's going to be a pretty sweet setup. So got some options for youth season. I'm hoping, whatever deer daylight more in those vicinities or what those blinds, I'll probably take Jace. The best odds will put him in his favor. So
yeah,
we'll see.
No, it's that I like that it's clover. I think being a clover plot is the best case scenario. You could always, you could go in and disc up a spot if you wanted a couple strips of brass, that were just brass, because you could very easily do that, and then, put in new clover every year and it would be fine. And it's pretty neat. I like it. I think you were worried about it growing too, but it really, really grew.
It did. It was a great year on that farm for a growing season, and I frost seeded Evolved, and I had some Domain. Like whatever I had, I threw it out there. So it's kind of, and then I put some Evolved turnips in there. Like it just is a buffet. And on the back side of that hill, it's very, well, this is going way back, but that's kind of a flat topography, and then it dips down to some ridges. And on the other side, way back when the land was formed, those deposits up on top of those hills, the soil just absolutely sucks. Everything falls off. It's really kind of loamy, and I can't get anything to grow but like clovers trying to hang on. And I've seeded that probably 5 or 6 times. I put in 400 pounds of lime. I've all but done a soil test, and that's probably what I'll do next year on that, because I cannot get anything to grow. It was all honeysuckle, autumn olive, cedar thicket, and it's very, very acidic soil, I would guess. But besides doing a soil sample, that's my next step there. And I've had some deer walk through there going to my destination plot. So maybe it's a good thing that there's not food back on that side, because they're all going to come to that clover. So I have failed.
Give you some options if you wanted to do something different, whether it's, put different trees in from.
You are frozen. Hello? And you're back. There he is.
I have no idea what's going on.
My internet is very fast. I just did an internet speed check by Ocala or Ukala. So anyway, with the blinds being up, if you guys are looking at buying a blind for your private farms, and the farmer won't let you keep them out all year, maybe the best bet would be to buy a trailer or use a trailer, put it on the blind, and kind of move it around. One recommendation, I know Jesse and I would both tell you, lock the put one of those ball locks on it so no one can go in there and steal your blind. But that'd be my recommendation. If you don't have a spot that's your own, that it's your own family farm, or maybe it's a lease and you have problems, I would lock that hitch up. So there's ways around using a blind and not having it be there all year.
Yep. And honestly, as long as you can access the back of it, to get the door open and stuff, it would be just like where it was. You could even maybe go build like 2-3 feet up and keep it stationary depending on the size of the trailer and all that stuff. But you get a foot or two off the ground and you're pretty good. So most places, if you're overlooking a field.
Right. These blinds are allowing us to hunt more. If it's weather dependent, you want to go sit out in the freezing rain, by all means. The older I get, the more luxury I like to have. And putting you out there, in those situations, you get frozen or cold, you're probably going to leave early. When you're in a blind, you got the luxury of heat, staying out of elements. And they're getting cheaper and cheaper. And I would look, when you're looking to buy a blind, don't go buy the cheapest plastic one that's going to last you 2 years and you're going to waste your money. Look at something with aluminum housing or steel sided, like that's going to last, that you're going to get years of hunting out of. And it's so easy now. You can take youth hunters, the elderly that want to go out and hunt. It makes hunting a lot more enjoyable personally. And I find myself hunting out of the blinds more and more, but I do still love sitting in a tree, especially in November or late October.
Yeah. I mean, early season, it's just so nice taking the kids out and not having to worry about, putting up a pop-up blind and then the bugs, and it's super hot. You can bring the little portable fan into those blinds, and you don't have to worry about your sweat as much. And if you're smart about it and where you're putting them up, like I planted the beans and put a fence in there literally for youth season. I'm gonna pull the fence next week, give it 2.5 weeks for the deer to start accessing them and using them, and it should be really good, and they'll be good all through the season because my farm doesn't have a ton of pressure on it. But as soon as those bucks start cruising around a little bit, they will remember that there's food there.
Yep, for sure. And it's so nice. Like you said, the portable fans you can buy. Pretty much, you just look up what brand of battery. If you have a DeWalt, they have DeWalt fans. Like I have a Craftsman fan that I have for my impact that I put the battery in with the Craftsman fan. Another thing, to clean out the blinds, you can just take a shop vac, and if they get bugs in them, which I think a couple of them had some flies and stuff from when you open the door, you can just shop vac those bugs out before season gets here, so you're not climbing in the blind like, oh look, it's infested with dead flies or wasps or whatever. So
right. Yep. And I clean all the windows early, just and that's part of the prep. When you get the chairs in there and you put all your stuff in there, that's just part of it. Window wipes and all that good stuff. So
a good tip is that Rain-X I believe it's in a yellow bottle. It's just Rain-X spray, doing both sides of the windows and treating those. That way they're anti-fog. It really does help to throw that in your pack. It does kind of smell a little bit. I don't know that the deer associate that with you, but they definitely, know probably something's up. And when I get in the blind, a lot of times I'll throw the Ozonics on the platform and just let it run on standard mode, and that does kind of help a little bit. But a lot of these blinds are pretty much sealed tight. You don't have issues with scent that much leaking out of them, so you can hunt almost
Right. Yeah. Yep. I found, I try to keep everything shut, but and I'm not hunting them on a bad wind. But if I get kind of an iffy wind, I'll run the Ozonics inside. So when it gets to be like that last little bit of time, I'll crack a window, and if I have a good wind. Otherwise, I'll leave everything off and open it when I have to shoot. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Also,
excited. It'll be.
There's some guys in the industry that will take spray foam, and I've done this a couple, and all the cracks up top will spray foam. It looks kind of crappy inside, but there's no scent rising because your heat rises, and it's pretty much insulated. So you do got to be careful with your Ozonics. You have the windows shut because you're gonna.
It'd take a lot of ozone for a long time to hurt you, but there's no reason to be dumb about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But what I do is I go get weather stripping, and I take a screwdriver and I shove it all the way up around there, and the windows, mine are basically used where I'm only ever going to open 3 windows. I'm never going to have a shot anywhere else. So the windows I keep shut, I take flex tape seal and I seal the windows all the way around it. So there's no extra scent.
But you can still have an option to look through that middle window, or
I
can see it out there so I can see what's going on.
I can see, but
Yeah.
I'm not shooting out there. So yeah, like I seal it all the way up, shut it, but then I still have the window kits where I can peek through and open up and look what's out there.
Yeah, and some guys actually tint the windows themselves too, because with the Muddy and Hawks, you can unscrew them and the whole pane of window comes out. You can tint it where the deer, as dark as you can or want, so the deer can't see in, but you can yet see out. So that's another neat trick. I
might do that. I might do that next spring. Just do it out there. Just take my truck out there, get everything I need, pull one window, clean it really good, put it on there, and do that. So
super simple, probably cheaper than the window kits, and it'll look pretty clean too when it's done.
Yeah, the only bad thing about that is filming out of it. It's going to be dark filming out. So
true. Unless they make a fancier tint that when my friend put it on his Polaris Ranger, when it's almost like those like the glasses that when the sun is real dark, and then when the sun goes away, it starts to open back up.
It like fades. It gets darker.
It might be expensive, but it might be worth it.
Yeah, I have to look into it. Like I said, that might be a next year project once these get set up exactly where we want them. So,
yeah. So. Well, cool.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna wrap things up. I'm gonna go eat dinner, and get going with the week. Hopefully, get everything finalized for youth season. So.
Yep, and I'm gonna get packed for vacation.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, thanks for listening, guys.
Yep. Later.
Stay safe.